Welcome to a special edition of Progressive Parenting. I'm Gina Kirby, your host, and today I am thrilled to be joined by Patrick Hauser, a personal hero of mine. And we're going to be talking about, of course, dads and parents, and how, as parents, how we affect our children. And one of the things that we will be talking about, what I want to talk about right away, is breastfeeding and dads. This is something that doesn't come up a lot. I know I don't teach it in my childbirth education class, but it looks like I should. What can we say about breastfeeding and fathers?
Sort of the core of the conversation for fathers about breastfeeding has to do with intimacy. Because in our culture, many men are raised with a different thought of intimacy. Intimacy has to do with sex. And primal intimacy and primary intimacy has nothing to do with sex. At its basic level, intimacy is the heart connection. Intimacy is attachment. Intimacy is being with somebody, through the heart, through who we are as human beings. However, if a man is raised, in a macho kind of culture, or in one that values, we have, sex splattered all over our culture, the magazines and the television and the movies and everything. And so that's where men tend to go first. Sex first, intimacy second, And what men really need to do is redefine intimacy. Because during this time of breastfeeding, the mother and the baby are a holy pair. They are this holy couple. And, the visual image is the mother holding the child and the father holding the mother holding the child. So he's holding the child, but he's holding the child through the mother. Because the mother and child spent 9 months together, this very, very, very intimate thing of living inside the body of a woman. So 9 months in, 9 months out, at a minimum, the child's development is unlike any other mammal, except like the kangaroo, right, where the baby comes out and is in the little pouch. Well, think of that, in kangaroo care, of course. So that's how I look at the father's role. And because fathers today really want to be involved, and there's over 1,000% increase in fathers' caretaking in the family now compared to the 70s. Fathers spent 15 minutes a day with their children in 1976, according to the research. Today it's 5 hours a day, averaged out over a week, and this includes stay-at-home fathers. So when you look at those percentages, it's staggering the amount of time they're committed to, yet they're doing it unsupported. We're not having education classes, and it's not about birth education, it's about parent education. It's about understanding family life and understanding the life of a child and what the child needs. Because yes, the parents have needs, but they aren't parents without the child, and the child doesn't exist without them and without their contribution and their wholehearted contribution. So if dads can understand during this breastfeeding time that the intimacy needs to be first, and it's intimacy between the mother and child, and intimacy between him and the mother and the child. And that is profound if he can really surrender to that. And it takes a bit of work sometimes, because he probably wasn't breastfed. He wasn't raised in a culture where he could see breastfeeding around him. If he didn't see his siblings being breastfed, the vast majority of new dads have never held a new baby. They've never seen breastfeeding. Most part we don't allow it in our restaurants, and we don't allow it here and there. Or they'll say, go to the bathroom to breastfeed. It's like, what? Take your lunch and go to the bathroom and eat it, to another customer, It's right. Would you eat your meal in a bathroom, in a toilet? It's like, how crazy is that? And so if dads can really surrender this and understand that they can do absolutely everything else with the child and supporting the child and the mother, except the breastfeeding, to think that, let's put it in the bottle so that I can be involved. Wrong. That's not the level of involvement that nature has provided for you at this time. You're still in the protection and providing mode in a way that allows the mother and child to develop and continue their relationship in the way it needs to. And yes, your contact with the child is important. The mother can't give the child what you can, but it's different than what the mother can give it. So it's just so important, and going skin to skin, embracing that child right to your skin, because that physiologically allows your nurturing instincts to be triggered. A man's physiology, his hormonal response will change when he is skin to skin with that baby. He'll have the same kind of emotional and hormonal responses as the mother, but in smaller doses. So this provides him with the innate ability to be monogamous, the innate ability to bond with the child, the innate ability to have his oxytocin levels raised, which is the hormone of love. Any father who is properly attached to his child at the birthing time, I will more than likely never separate from that child. It's just when fathers are kept at a distance, or they don't feel welcome, included, and safe during this time of pregnancy, birth, and breastfeeding, those are the dads who disappear. And that's culture's responsibility. That's not just dad's responsibility. If he came from a broken home, or if he came from an abusive home, or a neglectful home, if his father wasn't a 5-star father, which whose was, then he's handicapped in his approaching this whole time. And I think it's really important that we drop down and really understand what dads need.
That's the thing you said, where dads are unsupported. They're not just unsupported maybe by their past or their history, but by the culture. I mean, all of in the media, anytime you see a dad, it's always this depiction of an inept fellow who can't do anything, let alone take care of himself or his children. So that he's unsupported in that area. And then generally, in the media, when somebody finds out they're going to be a father, everyone's, oh, your life's over, or it's, there's the end of you, or even in the Shrek movie, I think he said, you, my friend, are royally, and then a guy in the background blows a foghorn over the end of that. And so there's no support for men in that sense. How can guys go through this if the media and the culture aren't supporting them? Where can they tune to for support?
Right. Well, I say that, dad's life will never be the same again. But that's the good news. It's going to be deeper and richer and fuller and have more meaning, if he can surrender to the process and feel safe in it. And so website, fatherstobe.org, book, Fathers to Be Handbook, and there are many, many resources now that will help support dads and face-to-face, and I'm starting webinars for dads, which will just be fascinating because men anywhere in the world can tune in and contribute and be part of an information resource. Because we take our dads at this time and we throw them into the sea. I love this analogy because the sea is very feminine, it's very emotional. That's the nature of water. Yet the ocean's full of sharks, And not only did we give them any kind of shark defense, we never taught them how to swim. And we're wanting them to surf. I just love the surfing analogy because the waves of pregnancy, birth, and breastfeeding, this natural phenomenon comes in waves. And any breastfeeding mother or any laboring mother understands these waves. But a man will never have that in his body. So it's very challenging for him to understand it and feel how to be part of it.
You mentioned emotional intelligence. The men have to kind of come into that on their own in order to understand that maybe they would even need help to begin with.
Well, one of our challenges is most of our young boys are not raised with what I call an emotional vocabulary. So they don't have access to the words. They're having the same feelings as women. It's not that we don't feel. It's that we have not been provided with an environment that allows us to identify, name, and relate to the feelings. And then, of course, speak about them. That's the next step for a man. They're much more shy about that. And that all comes back to, again, they haven't been provided with that opportunity. Be a man, man up, don't cry, take care of the family, you're the head of the household, all that crap that's just really degrading. And yet, they want to, they're supposed to appear, this tough and all these kind of things when, no, be weak. It's really important.
Beautiful.